So here we will see a very subtle difference that happens in devotional service. Um, we'll take two pastimes here, like the pastime of Mukunda and the pastime of the milk drinking Brahmana, and let us try to understand the subtle differences and the subtle conclusions that can come from these pastimes. So first from the Mukunda's pastime, where we can see that Mukunda was desperate to have the association of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So many devotees at this point, they say that sometimes devotees say that, my Lord, it's okay, I don't want to go back to Godhead. It's okay for me that I want to serve the Lord in the material world itself. I can serve it. I can be okay, fine. I'm happy serving the Lord. Why should I go back to the spiritual world? Why should I go to the spiritual realm? I'm satisfied. So my point of contention is that that's not exactly a proper mood, like being satisfied in the material realm. First reason is that many times we think that it's like it's a very good kind of a bhav that we should have, that not having eagerness to go back to Godhead. But Srila Prabhupada clearly says that a sincere devotee has only one desire, to go back to Godhead. And Krishna will eventually definitely fulfill that desire. There is a quote of Srila Prabhupada stating that. So, going back to Godhead, should that be actually a desire? Like devotees like Ramanujacharya and so many people, if you see, they are so eager to go back to Godhead. And sometimes we see that in the Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy, we tend to see as if devotees are not that eager to go back to Godhead. Like Mukunda is saying, devotees quote Mukunda. They say that Mukunda, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said 10 million lifetimes, he was in ecstasy. That's okay, my Lord, it's 10 million lifetimes, fine. I'll serve you here itself. That they quote him, or they quote the milk drinking Brahmana, who was completely satisfied just by looking at the Lord once, and he said, oh, I'm happy. I don't want any more further, I got the association of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that's fine. So these two pastimes people quote. So the question here is, should a devotee have eagerness to go back to Godhead or not? First of all, let us understand what do you mean by going back to Godhead. There are two ways to go back to Godhead. One is when you get a spiritual body, when you are freed from the three modes of material nature. That is also going back to Godhead. Second thing is when you physically you die and you are transferred to the kingdom of God, spiritual kingdom. That is, in both the cases, the first thing that happens is you are freed from the material entanglement, the tabernacle of the material world. That is the first symptom that happens when you actually get liberated from the material body. Now the point is, when a devotee aspires and says that it is okay, my Lord, I will serve you in this material body itself, no problem. That is a problem actually. The problem is that Prabhupada and many times there are quotations by Brahma and everybody who says that the Lord cannot be served unless a person is liberated. Why? Because as long as we have material body, that means we have all the karma vasanas and so many things. Even though it is in a purified state, even though we are trying to control it, these things keep on coming out. This body is contaminated with the three modes of material nature. So imagine you have gone to a toilet and there is no water to wash yourself, and you are come out and you go to the DT room to serve the Lord, and somebody says, Arey, why don't you purify yourself, completely become liberated from all this contamination, everything, and then why don't you want to serve the Lord? And you say, no, it's okay, my Lord, I don't care. Lord doesn't require all these things, and I also don't care. I am happy serving the Lord in this contaminated state, no problem. So that is not a very good consciousness, to remain in a contaminated state and serve the Lord. And as long as you are having a material body, you are in a contaminated state. No matter. Now we definitely, it doesn't mean that if there is no option, we definitely serve the Lord in the material world also. So in a contaminated, there is no option, then we have to do that. That's another thing. So now that's the only way so if a person doesn't have an option to take bath, then if the Lord needs to be fed food, then there is no other option. He has to feed the Lord. There are many devotees, pastimes also, when the devotee was not very purified state and still offered that food to Krishna, and Krishna accepted it. But that doesn't mean that the devotee didn't want to be purified. Had the option been given to the devotee, he would have definitely wanted himself to be purified. So a desire of a devotee to go back to Godhead, or the desire of a devotee to serve the Lord in a spiritual body, is actually a spiritual desire. So the desire of a devotee to be purified of all contamination and to have a spiritual body and to go back to the spiritual world is actually not opposed to the principles of pure devotional service. If your body is constantly giving you pain and constantly giving you material suffering, and then your love for the Lord cannot be fully manifest. Even if a devotee wants to get out of pain and suffering and problems and struggles, you may say that is Jnana Mishra Karma Bhakti, or you are one Mukti, or you are doing some Karma Mishra. So the point is, still that desire is a good desire. Because that desire, when you are having constant pain and suffering and problems and everything, then your pure bhav for Krishna, your uncontaminated, unmotivated devotional for Krishna, that becomes very difficult. The half the time the problem goes in with struggling with the body and its various vasanas and the various problems of the body. So a devotee should have a desire to get freed from this material body as fast as possible and go back to the spiritual world, or immediately die and go back to the spiritual world, or immediately get purified of all the contamination, and then so that he can serve the Lord in his original spiritual body in a nice way without any problematic situation of the material realm. There is no problem in that. So let us, with this point of view, let us try to understand the pastimes of milk drinking Brahmana and Mukunda, both the cases. In case of Mukunda, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu initially rejected that I don't want to see Mukunda, Mukunda's reaction was not that it is okay, my Lord, I don't care. When devotees said that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't want to see you, Mukunda didn't say that is okay, my Lord, it's no problem. Even if you don't want to see me, that is not a problem. As long as I get to serve you, my Lord, there is no problem. Let me serve you in some indirect way. Let your devotees go back to have your association. At least the other Vaishnavas are having your association. I don't care. What if I don't have your association? There is no problem. That was not the mood of Mukunda. That was definitely not the mood of Mukunda. His mood was immediately oh my God, I'm not going to have association with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I'm not going to have association with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was completely morose and dejected, which shows that his primary goal was to have association of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But then when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave him hope and he said that after 10 million lifetimes you will get my association, I'll give him his association, then he became ecstatic. Why did he become ecstatic? Not that because there were 10 million lifetime was there. Because that he was seeing that one hope that I will see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu after 10 million lifetimes. There is an assured guarantee by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that I will see him after 10 million lifetimes. That was his intensity to unite with the Lord. That faint glimmer of hope that I will unite with the Lord after 10 million lifetimes gave Mukunda that ecstatic hope and an ecstatic hope basically, and that made him crazy about meeting Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So in this case, Mukunda was not not affected, and he was saying that it's okay, I don't care, I can serve the Lord here also. Ultimately, it's the service that matters. I don't want to have association. There's no problem. No, he was completely crazy. So when the whole goal was to have association with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that was his whole mood. And a devotee is like that. Even if he gets 1 second of association, he is happy. He is completely satisfied. And but he's not, limited to that 1 second. He is desperately wanting more and more association. The gopis, when they couldn't see the Lord, Then they were criticizing Lord Brahma that, why did you make the eyelids? I cannot see the Lord for 1 second. They were so desperate to see him constantly. It doesn't mean that once they saw him, they are satisfied. It's no need for, we don't want to see the Lord at all. A devotee is always wanting to constantly. Bhakti means apratihata. Ahituki apratihata. He is constantly united with the Lord in devotional service. So, basically, Mukunda's goal was to unite with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It was never that he was satisfied serving in separation from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In spiritual world, Radharani and all the devotees, they are not satisfied. Like, it's okay, my Lord, you go away to Mathura. We are happy serving you in separation. We are happy. Nobody is happy in serving in separation. Everybody wants to unite with the Lord. Although in the spiritual world, because there is no material body, there is ecstasy millions of times more in separation than in Sambhoga. But no devotee of the Lord ever says that I am satisfied, serving the Lord in separation only. I don't want to unite with the Lord. There is no point in uniting with the Lord. They are desperately, where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? That is the mood of the Acharyas. That is the mood of all the gopis. That is the mood of the Manjaris. Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? I want to see Krishna. I don't have Krishna. I want Krishna. So sometimes devotees say, I don't care going back to Godhead, seeing the Lord, having association. That is okay. Let me serve. So this may not be prompted by pure devotion, this attitude. That it's okay, my Lord, I am okay with the material world. I'll serve here only, whatever it is there. What is the point of going back to Godhead, or what is the point of becoming liberated and serving you in the personal way? So some pure devotees may be thinking like that also. That is surely there, no doubt, because the Leela of the Lord is infinite, and in each Leela there are so many varieties. So you'll find all these kind of varieties. But no devotee generally, is satisfied in separation with the Lord. That satisfaction that I am okay, that is only there in the material Jivatma. When the Jivatma leaves the spiritual world and is satisfied in the material world. Krishna doesn't like that. The whole purpose of Krishna in creating the material world, the whole enjoyment of Krishna is to get the living entity to go back to the spiritual world. That is why he has created the material world and created so many problems in the material world. Krishna has worked hard. He has created an entire structure. And he has done so many things just so that the living entity gets frustrated with the material world and goes back to Krishna. And if a devotee says, I am satisfied in the material world itself, then the very purpose of Krishna in creating the material world is foiled. Because Krishna's purpose is not to make the living entity, whether in devotion or what, to be satisfied in the material world itself. He wants the living entity to go back to the spiritual world. He wants him to come back to him. He doesn't want him to be staying in the material energy. Now, when a devotee becomes a pure devotee, then there is no difference for him whether he stays in the material world or spiritual world, because there is no material world in reality. In reality, everything is spiritual world only, from Krishna's perspective. So, when you become a pure devotee, as I told you, there is two back to Godheads. One is when your body becomes completely spiritual and released from the three modes of material nature, and you see Krishna face to face, without the covering of Maya, and you are a pure devotee, your pure bhav for Krishna is invoked and revoked. That is also going back to Godhead, because the material world becomes spiritual world for you at that point, because there is no material world. There is just a material leela of the Lord. So you are a part of that leela. So you can stay here forever, no problem. There is no problem in that. But to stay in the material body with a material consciousness, with a material kind of all the problems, and say that I am satisfied in that, that is not what I say is not a pure devotional thing. That is more of an egoistic thing, where you say that I don't care, I am so great that I will sacrifice and I will stay in the material world only. I don't want to go back to Godhead. That is not some kind of a great, that's some kind of an ego of a devotee sometimes, when he says that I don't care going to the spiritual world, I will stay in the material body. No devotee should aspire to stay in the material body, with a material contaminated body, and think of serving the Lord in some way in the material contaminated body. The whole idea should be purify yourself and get a spiritual body, and then serve the Lord in a pure form, and have the association of the Lord and his pure devotees in that form. That should be the goal. Not that I am satisfied in this only body and I want to stay here. There is some kind of material conception involved in that. Now the milk drinking Brahmana, He was so eager to meet the Lord Chaitanya. He was so eager to meet Lord Chaitanya. It was not that he was not eager. He was like, it's okay, my Lord, even if I don't have his association, I will serve the Lord's devotees and it's fine. I don't care about having his personal, I don't want to see him, I don't want to. Of course, having association of a pure devotee is as good as having association of Lord also. There is no difference in that. So sometimes in the Leela, a devotee will be more attached to a pure devotee than to the Lord. But again, because he is liberated, such a devotee does not see a distinction between the Lord and his pure devotee, because the pure devotee is part and parcel of Lord Krishna. Just like Prabhupada is Krishna and his pad or leg is Prabhupada. So when you see Prabhupada as non-different from Krishna, because he is as a part and parcel of Krishna, you see him as a leg of Krishna, then whether you are having association of Krishna's leg or Krishna's hand or Krishna's body, it doesn't matter. So in that sense, when you are a pure devotee, then you see every living entity as a part and parcel of Krishna, and the material world also and the spiritual world also connected to Krishna. Then there is no point. Then you see Krishna everywhere, in every atom you see Krishna. That is okay. But the point is having a material consciousness and a material body and saying that I am satisfied with that, serving Krishna in that material consciousness, in separation from Krishna, that is not a proper attitude. One should somehow get rid himself of the material body and the material consciousness and the material maya. And then in that purified consciousness, he will see only Krishna everywhere. Vasudevam Sarvamiti. And then he will have association of Krishna in every point of time. But many devotees, they say that it is okay, I don't want to, go back to Godhead. I will stay like this. Their concept of staying like that means they want to stay in the same material body only. They say, no, I don't want liberation also. I don't want to go back to Godhead also. I don't want to get a spiritual body also. I will serve Lord in the material body only. That is a problematic situation. There is danger at every step that you will fall down, because this material world is very strong, which is dangerous. No matter what you do, today your consciousness may be like this and tomorrow it may change. You may commit offenses to other Vaishnavas with your Kama, Krodha, Moha, Mada, Laksara, as long as you have material body. The Sattva Guna, there is no guarantee that you will stay in Sattva Guna forever. Better to have a spiritual body. So you should always aspire to have a spiritual body or to go back to Godhead. Both are the same thing. So the milk drinking Brahmana had a great desire to have association of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now the point in this whole pastime was that it is not that by your own endeavor and your own tapasya you are going back to Godhead. Your endeavor, tapasya, everything, getting up in the morning, Mangalarti, everything is just 1 rupee. It is just 1 rupee. With your 1 rupee, don't think that you can go back to Godhead. It is only by mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, mercy of Prabhupada, mercy of your Guru, that one can go back to the spiritual realm. It is not by your tapasya. Tapasya is like saying thank you to your Guru. That you have to do. Because without that thank you, then you are an ungrateful person. But that is not the qualification. That is not, don't think that one of the devotees, brahmacharis, was saying that, I was saying that, these mothers and parents of these devotees are so fortunate, they will go back to Godhead without doing anything. Because as the sons will go back to Godhead, they will also. So one person was arguing, how can they go back to Godhead? They have not done any tapasya, they have not done anything, they have not done Mangalarti, they have not chanted the 16 rounds, how can they go back to Godhead? They will only be given opportunity to do devotional service as per Shastra. They cannot go back to Godhead. I said, why are you getting so upset that they should not go back to Godhead? How then, as per the Atri Muni and Bhrigu Muni and all these people, they have been doing tapasya for 10 crore years. They should have the same objection on you also. How come by doing devotional service, just by doing a little bit Mangalarti and little bit 16 rounds and having nice prasadam, pizza, pasta and everything, that these people are going back to Godhead? How can you go back to Godhead then? They should have an objection. They are doing tapasya for 10 crore years and they are still stuck in the material world. And you will go back to Godhead in one day, 1 year, 100 years. So you also are giving only 1 rupee worth of thing. So if you want to buy Mukesh Ambani's house or Bill Gates' house, and you say that I will give you 1 rupee, how can that person who is not giving anything, how can you go get that house? I mean, that depends upon Bill Gates. If he wants to give his house to anybody, he can make anybody his family member. It doesn't matter whether you have given 1 rupee or whether you have given nothing. Your 1 rupee is as good as nothing for Bill Gates. In the same way, the milk drinking brahmachari, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he actually showed by this pastime that, first of all, don't think that by your tapasya and by your 1 rupee worth of tapasya, you will go back to Godhead. It's only by my mercy of Prabhupada, mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that you can go back to the spiritual realm. So that should be understood. So that pastime, he was very eager to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected him first, showing that by tapasya you cannot achieve me. But when then he saw the glimpse, he got the glimpse of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the milk drinking Brahmana was so happy. He said that one glimpse is enough for me to go back to Godhead. That one association of Lord, I got that much at least, finished. My life is perfect. So a devotee is completely satisfied by that small association of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also. Just like, one small little. So he was so happy, and he was at the same time so satisfied. At least I was not qualified for this. That humility was there. That I was not qualified for this, I got it at least. Now I am satisfied, I got that thing. Till the time he got it, he was not satisfied. It was not that he was so humble that he didn't want to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at all. That was not the thing. There is a very subtle difference here. He was desperate. He was somehow or other, he was like hiding. He broke all the rules of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the extent that he broke Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's ecstasy also. Because he wanted to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He didn't say, if I go there, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's ecstasy will be broken and something will go wrong. Then what will happen? Forget it. I will not go. Let me serve him outside only. No. He wanted that glimpse of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That we should understand. He was ready to break even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's ecstasy. He went there, he did everything, and he got that glimpse. And after he got the glimpse, he was satisfied totally. And he said, okay, I got this. This is enough for me to go back to the spiritual world. One glimpse is enough. So that shows how much he valued that one Lava Matra association of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That value that he gave to that Lava Matra. He was completely satisfied. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that he will not get, he didn't want the association of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu anymore. He would have wanted more and more and more and more. But he was also satisfied at the same time. That is the spiritual paradox. The gopis are not satisfied. They wanted to look at the Lord every second. For, even 1 second, the eyelids used to close. They used to criticize Lord Brahma. But at the same time, the Brahmana milk drinking Brahma was satisfied also. That at least I got this much. The Mukunda was satisfied. At least after 10 million lifetimes, I am getting to see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is the mood. That one glimpse is enough, more than all the universes in the universe. You are completely satisfied. But at the same time, you are not satisfied also. You want constantly the association of the Lord. That is also there. So both the things are there. But under no circumstances these pastimes prove that a devotee should not have any eagerness to have the personal association of the Lord, in the sense of having a purified existence. A devotee should not be satisfied that I am happy in the material world, in the material realm and stuff like that. Because that is not the mood of Krishna. Krishna's mood in creating the entire material world is so that you get frustrated with the material world and come back to him. That is the purpose of Krishna. If Krishna is doing some job, the purpose of that is to do that. And if you say that I don't care about that purpose, I am happy in the material realm only, and I am happy serving him in the material world, in the material realm, then that purpose is finished. So my point was that only, actually, in this entire presentation, that a devotee should constantly pray to the Lord to get him a spiritual body and get him out of this horrible third-rated material body, which doesn't allow him to do anything properly. Half the time the focus goes on taking care of the material body. Half the time the focus goes on suffering in the material body, the pains of the material body, the distractions. It's like the eyelids. The eyelids that keep on coming between you and Krishna. These material sufferings, the material problems, the material body. No matter how much you try, they are always causing distractions between you and Krishna. All the time they are causing anxiety, material stuff. And they are not spiritual anxieties. They are not spiritual sufferings. They are purely material in nature, and they cause obstacles. And those obstacles actually do, if in a pure devotee, these obstacles, they enhance the Leela, actually. Just like when the gopis, when the obstacles comes, those obstacles enhance the Leela because they create separation and everything. But our separation from the Lord is material separation. That's the problem. This separation is useless. So we should have that desire to be united with Krishna, or at least have the spiritual body so that we can be always united with Krishna. Because once you have a spiritual body, separation, vipralamba, everything is same. Once you have a spiritual body, the separation, in separation you will be constantly thinking of the Lord. And when you're constantly thinking of the Lord, you are united with the Lord, even in separation. But in the material body, when you are separated from the Lord and you are having pain and suffering, then your mind is distracted. It's finished. Then you cannot think of the Lord. Then the things are simply distractions. They are simply obstacles in a really obstacle way, where you forget the Lord again and again. So you just intermittently remember the Lord and then you forget it because of the pain that the body gives, suffering that the body gives. The vasanas, the desires and the sex life and the horrible kind of problems that the material body gives, they cause tremendous distractions in serving the Lord. So, and then the problem is that even from the Lord's perspective, at least, he enjoys all these things, no doubt about it, because from the Lord cannot see Maya, and he sees your service and he sees you just like, your separation from him, he sees in a different angle and he is still happy and stuff like that. That is there. But also at the same time, you have to understand that the Lord somehow or other does not know what material suffering is of a Jivatma. Had the Lord known what a Jivatma experienced materially when he suffered, the Lord would be in so much pain. He would never have allowed this kind of thing to happen. Never. He would never allow his dear souls to suffer in this horrible material. He would never have allowed even a single living entity, no matter how bad that living entity is, no matter how big of a villain he is, the Lord would have never have allowed him to suffer here. So actually somehow the Lord doesn't know that, and because the Lord has no experience of this material suffering, he's enjoying all of these leelas in the material world. He doesn't see this material world at all. He sees even the material world as spiritual world. But he would never have enjoyed this. So by suffering materially, you would not be making any favor, you will not be doing any favor to Lord Krishna. Ultimately. Because ultimately, you should only desire one thing, that every living entity in this world be freed from all these sufferings. The entire material world should terminate. All material worlds. Every single material world should terminate. Because that is not the ultimate thing. Had the Lord known it, these material worlds would never have existed actually. No living entity would have suffered. These living entities are also parts of Krishna only. And we should constantly pray to Krishna. Krishna, just release me from all this pain and release every living entity from all this pain. Don't have this pain Leela with any living entity. This is not correct. Ultimately, all those part and parcels of Krishna are also parts of Krishna only. And they're suffering. This whole Leela is horrible. This whole material world is horrible. Everybody should get together and pray to the Lord to terminate all of these material leelas and material worlds and everything. We should have only a spiritual world. Finish off these material worlds forever. Or if you want such a kind of a leela, then eliminate the concept of pain, material pain. Since you don't know what material pain is, this is happening. So my sincere request to all devotees is, don't desire to be in pain in the material world, saying that I don't care, I want to be in pain and all these things. Krishna doesn't know all those things. Whatever you are trying to explain to Krishna, that Krishna cannot understand, forget it. If a child is saying that, oh, I am in the fire, and for my father I don't care that I want to come out of fire also. I'll be burning in the fire, no problem. Will the father be happy if you're burning in the fire? Why will the father be happy? By your great sacrifice. You may want to do, that is your ego, that you want to do sacrifice. But father will never be happy if you are burning constantly in fire. But now the point is, the father doesn't know what is the pain of fire, because he is Krishna, beyond Maya. He has never been touched by Maya. But one day if he comes to know, or if he ever would have come to know, would he be happy that you are like doing all these things? So come out of the fire. Don't be suffering in the material world, in the fire of material existence, burning and saying that, oh, it's okay, my Lord. First of all, the Lord won't understand you, because he has never experienced all these things. Second thing, if he were to understand you, he'd never be happy that you are burning in this fire. A true father will never be happy, no matter how great the child is trying to express his love. If the child is suffering, the father will never be happy. The child should suffer. So the child should come out of suffering. Like if a mother is seeing that the child is being burnt and he's suffering and he's in danger, will the mother be happy the child puts himself in constant danger and suffering? No, the child should come out of the danger. For the mother's sake, he should come out of the danger. In the same way, your suffering is not going to give pleasure to Krishna in any way. Of course, in the spiritual way, Krishna enjoys all those things. He doesn't see all those sufferings and everything, but he would, in reality, he would never be happy. So come out of this suffering. Your only goal should be to come out of all this suffering. All the devotees should pray that let me, like Gajendra, like the gopis, are like Draupadi, they should pray, please let me out of this suffering and take me to your loving embrace, my Lord. Don't pray that I want to stay here, I don't care about suffering, I don't care about anything. This is not the prayers that you should have. You're not doing not only disservice to you, but to other devotees also, other living entities also. Don't train Krishna in the wrong way. All of us should pray that not only me, all other living entities should also be coming out of the material world and suffering. All this is Maya. There is no villain, there is no hero, there is no enemy, there is no demon. Everybody is a devotee of Krishna. And let all of them come out of suffering. That should be the only prayer. Hare Krishna.